Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for the first in a few days live stream edition of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from. As I said, guys, we were going to be back live Wednesday. Where do we find ourselves on this glorious day, the 17th of April, foul year of our Lord, 2019? Anyways, guys, I'm excited, man. We've got so much to talk about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the pre-recorded videos while we were gone. Hopefully I can get this restream chat working. I had issues there for a second on the main page. Let me do a brief little loop and see if that fixed it. All right. We'll hope for the best, guys. But anyways, I can see you guys coming in here. I want to say hello to everybody that decided to join us for the early edition. Ron Legato, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Blowing the trumpets and the party poppers. James Van Omen asks for Ardor. We can look at Ardor, man. Frank Wolftown, Bad Andy Jurgenernst, Bitcoin Millionaire, CBN5, Turd Ferguson. Good to see you, man. Let's see here. Minnesotan, King of the Nord. Fiber is great. Not fun for me to install at res, but good for the cust. Yeah, it's really good. I'm very, very happy with the quality that we have so far. Very nice, consistent bitrate. I don't see anything holding us back. Let's see here. Ian Valentine, man. Good to see you, man. And yeah, we'll definitely take a look at ZERP. All right. Update on how the fiber install went. Update on the fiber install. Well, I can only speak very positive things about the company that came and installed it. They were prompt. They were quick. They said at the outset when I first contacted them back last week when the issues with Mediacom just got worse and worse and worse, I contacted them. They were very professional. I had my team, I had Ben and Scott look into the company. They're a cooperative, so that's fantastic. So not only am I receiving service from them, but I'm also part owner. That's how cooperatives work. So that's one of the nice benefits of living in this small town. And, kind of one of the, kind of not the reason why I decided to live here in the first place, but just nice things, man. You get better opportunities, I think, for some things when you live in smaller communities. Anyways, yeah, it went really well. Dude showed up, installed the fiber, and everything. If he is right about everything that he said, he was just very, very upfront. He's like, listen, man, Mediacom sucks. You're never gonna have an issue with us. If you have an issue, we'll be there in an hour. So that's pretty nice because you call Mediacom and they're like, we'll be there next week. So, anyways. Neo and Holochain. Sure, man. Yeah, there's I'm actually interested in looking at altcoins today. Altcoins showing a lot of activity, surging a little bit. Dent surging now on some news that they just, and again, there are bots and algos that just scroll websites like CCN and other popular cryptocurrency news sites. And when news about a coin comes out, they automatically buy that coin. It gets pumped up a little bit. And there you have it. You always want to be very careful about buying into news events like that because typically positioned buyers have already have typically some form of inside information or have access to that information before you're going to be getting access to it. Sometimes taking a news-based trade can work out for you. But more often than not, no. So you guys know how I feel about fundamental analysis in general. Well, okay, so I want to make my position on that a little bit more clear. It's not that I'm against fundamental analysis. I am majority-wise a technical trader. And what is the purpose of technical analysis? This is something that we went over in the members group yesterday. Like, what is technical analysis? How does it work? Does it work? I posted a really good article by CryptoCred. If you guys haven't read that, it's a really good Medium article to read. And I agree with essentially what he says in there, which is a common knowledge for professional traders. But one of the starkest contrasts between those who don't fully understand technical analysis and those who do understand technical analysis. And there's a wide gap, I would say, of understanding. But as I say on this stream so many times, and it's just kind of a chiding, laughing thing for me, technical analysis does not allow you to predict the future price of the market. It's impossible to do that. The market is by nature chaotic. However, what technical analysis will allow you to do is create risk-defined asymmetric risk to reward opportunities for taking trade setups, right? If you're in the market, if you're buying and selling an asset that can appreciate or depreciate in value, then you are by nature looking to buy low, sell high, or short high and buy back low and cover low. So you're going to have to be entering into positions at some point. At some point, you're going to have to set a limit order. At some point, you're going to market enter. And if you're not practicing some form of technical analysis, and then you're essentially going to default back to your feelings. Even if you're not using traditional technical indicators, things like stochastic or RSI or Bollinger Bands or MFI or anything of that nature. If you're just revolving around, percentages and statistics or volume or volatility or sentiment or whatever, that's still technical analysis. You are using historical data to attempt to define asymmetric risk to reward opportunities in the market. And one of my most common responses, I say, kind of my canned response to individuals that would say, hey man, technical analysis doesn't work. That's chicken bones type stuff like that. As opposed to what? As opposed to what? Because if we're in the market and we're going to trade the market, we have to have some system that tells us when to buy and when to sell. And if you don't have a well-defined technical strategy, I mean, what do you have? What do you have? You're going to be trading subjectively. And as we've gone over many, many times on this show and in my pre-recorded videos, trading subjectively, 99% of traders, it takes them down the path of blowing out their account, losing as a trader, because the grand majority of retail traders do lose money. And it's because they don't, the main reason why traders lose money is due to lack of discipline, is due to poor trade discipline, is due to poor statistical setups, and following through on a plan. There are bad indicators out there, right? For example, the RSI. You guys know I'm not a big fan. But if you trade the RSI, I think that your returns or your lack of returns will still be better than somebody who just trades merely on whim. Now, you're going to get a random individual every once in a blue moon that just gets lucky. And most traders, when they start out, this is a phenomenon. It happened to me. Most traders, when they actually enter into the market and begin trading, tend to be lucky. And that's one of the worst things that can happen to you. If you come into the market and you don't have a well-defined system, and this happened with a lot of people, obviously, in cryptocurrency, because a lot of people that are trading the market came into the market in 2017 when the price of everything was pumping, and you didn't really have to have a good risk-defined system of strategy because the market was overall bullish. The market was appreciating. So really, it didn't matter what you did. It would be very hard to defeat the market. It would be very hard to perform against the market because everything was performing so well. However, we saw the consequences of that post 2017, post February 2018 for altcoins for the majority. Most individuals that entered in 2017 ended up losing money. So how is it possible that the majority of retail traders had so much money or had amassed so much potential profit and then watched it all sink away and mostly turn into the negative? So how is that possible? The reason why is because they didn't know what they were doing. They weren't prepared coming into the market. All right, so we've got, Andrew says the only daytime television I'll watch. All right, great, man. Okay, so let's go over here. Tony M, hey, thanks, man. Looking forward to that, my friend. Jay Constant says, which alts will pump soon? I don't know. I don't know for the reasons that I just laid out. I can tell you that there are interesting indicators that we can watch, like the market depth ratio. We can also look at volatility. We can also look at a volume scanner, for example, to give you good ideas of what is likely to be moving. That's using statistical data. You can look at sentiment data to see if the sentiment of a coin is flipping bullish or bearish. You can look at social media sentiment as a good indicator. I've gone over most of these things on the stream, how to use them, how I use them. But again, I mostly look for key levels of horizontal support and resistance. I look at the critical levels of my indicators, like my exponential moving averages and my Ichimoku, and I wait for price to return to an area of interest for me. And if all else being equal, they stay in those levels, I look to enter into the market. Vatam, good to see you, man. Welcome back with a fiber, he says. Nice move. Yes. I took the plunge. It's more expensive than what I was getting from Mediacom, but it is well worth it. Why? Because I plan on doing the show for years to come. I plan on being here for you guys for years to come. I'm not going anywhere. Again, I trade professionally. This is my job. This is what I do on a daily basis, and I have no reason to stop doing what I'm doing. All right, so one thing that I want to talk about today, but let's get into the market because I do want to talk about Satoshi's treasure. This is really interesting for me. I'm going to compare it to a very good analogy because Satoshi's treasure, and I don't know how quickly it will be solved, if it will be solved. Sometimes these things can take a very long time, but it's kind of asymmetric because you already have individuals that are coming out there. We got a resub, and I don't see. Oh, Pile, hey man, thanks so much for the resub, my friend. 2 months in a row with Prime. Thank you so much, bro. Satoshi's treasure is one of those asymmetric things. If any of you guys are familiar with Cicada 3301, so Cicada 3301 was posted on 4chan and Reddit a few years back, and kind of took the online community by storm. Did not receive the wide adoption and what's the word I'm looking for? Exposure that I think something like Satoshi's treasure will be, because there wasn't $1 million price tag on it. I mean, that's a fantastic PR firm. That's a fantastic PR campaign. And that's if the company that's Primitive Capital, I believe, Primitive Ventures, is the one behind the $1 million bounty in the first place. We don't know that for a fact. We don't know that for a fact that they are actually the ones behind it. It's possible that they're just slapping their name on it. But and then something that so hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. It kind of popped up all over the internet yesterday that there is now a bounty hunt, basically a huge treasure out there of $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Of course, we have to understand that number will appreciate or depreciate, because we're assuming that there's a public address with a certain amount of X Bitcoin in there. So if it's worth $1 million today, if it takes a year to solve that puzzle and Bitcoin is higher in price or lower in price, obviously it won't be $1 million. I digress. But and again, I haven't. I've been reading about it for about an hour this morning, and it doesn't seem like anybody understands or really knows or can prove where the first transmission came upon it. There were social media influencers on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube who were sent information about it. Some people are claiming that the first signal, and I can't recall the gentleman's name. I can't recall the individual's name who actually got the message in the first place. That he actually was listening to the Blockstream satellite, and that he received information about this. But then some other people say that no, there was clues and hints that pointed to Blockstream in the first place that put that information out there. Anyways, I digress. So I'm pretty good at puzzles. And I'm pretty fascinated by this Satoshi's vision thing. Not Satoshi's vision, Satoshi's treasure. Not because I think that I'm going to win or because I want to win, because honestly, I'm so busy with trading and with building up the group and with working on my strategies and with shooting videos and doing the stream and writing and everything else that I do, that I'm not worthy to dedicate enough time and energy into it. So, I'm excited to be following this and see who wins or what comes of this. Obviously, there's speculation that this is the return of Satoshi Nakamoto. There's speculation that this is the NSA recruiting individuals. There's speculation that this is some hacker collective like Anonymous, for example, even though they're not what they used to be, that are attempting to what's the word I just used? Recruit, people who can code, hack, develop, break code, things like that, because it's already proven that you need to have some basic programming information. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Notpron. And again, I promise I'm going to stop rambling and get to the charts here in just a little bit, but I'm just kind of fascinated by the Satoshi's treasure thing. If any of you guys were familiar with Notpron, it was considered the hardest puzzle on the internet for a long, long time. And you had to do things like look at the embed information on a page. You had to understand things like HTML. You had to understand things like basic programming to be able to solve some of the harder puzzles. But then again, you didn't actually have to leave your house. Cicada 3301 was a puzzle where you had to know all of that, plus you had to leave your house. So there were clues that were left geographically all over the world, and it required a team. Now, since it's been a while since Cicada 3301 has been finished, individuals have come out and said that yes, we solved Cicada 3301. We got invited basically into this like online chat room where there were like coding activists and hacktivists who were trying to who had done this for the express purpose of recruiting us to build some kind of hacker collective to change the world or do things of that nature. We don't know if this is the case with Satoshi's treasure. What we do know is that there is a $1 million price tag on it. So the hunt's on, guys. So I'm excited to see who wins this. If you guys have any thoughts or opinions on this, I'd love to hear them in the chat. If you think this is the NSA, if you think this is Satoshi Nakamoto, if you think this is aliens, if you think this is the Chilluminati, I'd be interested to hear your comments because I've heard just about everything. If you guys just go check out Twitter, it's all over the place. So I digress. Let's get over to the charts and we'll start with Bitcoin today as we do. All right. Okay, so all right, let me get everything set up here. Okay, so here we are on the 8-hour chart of Bitcoin. Normally, we would look at the 24-hour chart. The 8-hour candle was the most recent to close that I pay attention to, of course. You guys know how I feel about the 8-hour chart, the 8-hour time frame. I think it is very telling of which way the market is moving. Now, Here's what we see. Here's what we do. Honestly, nothing significantly has changed. I've gone over pretty much at length where I'm at in the market and the way that I am currently looking at things. So actually, we will start off with the daily, just so I can define. So for those of you who didn't watch the pre-records or are kind of new to what's going on here, we have this bearish order block, okay? It's also known as a bearish breaker, although in my terminology, I often find that the terms bearish breaker and bearish order block are used interchangeably. They're not the way that I utilize them anyways. Typically, a bearish breaker is going to be the last down candle in an uptrend before a significant shift in market structure. So, for example, if we go to something like the hourly chart. Okay, so technically, this candle right here, this hourly candle, this candle right here would be a bearish breaker. Why? Because you are in an uptrend. This is actually consolidation, but for the purpose of this, let's just assume, because, and let me preface this. Everybody has slightly different rules for bearish order blocks and bearish breakers. So if you do a Google search, you're going to find wildly different information on this. So I can only tell you the system that I've come to understand and develop. This isn't the primary way that I trade, but when I do see good setups that have confluence, that I can utilize this strategy in confluence with my own technical indicators and system, then I will utilize it and refine that. Sorry, let me explain that a little bit differently. I will utilize that system, right? You guys know that I have a an indicator-based strategy, which is the majority of my trading. And that's the beauty of an if this, then that strategy. Once you develop it, it tells you exactly what to do at all times. And one of the purposes of this channel and this show is encouraging you to build and develop your own system, right? Now, that doesn't have to be technical indicators, although I do recommend that's where you start. If you don't have an if this, then that technical-based strategy, you need to build one if you want to have increased success in this market. The reason why is the large majority of traders lose money, and the large majority of traders lose money is because they go into the realm of subjectivity. Now, a lot of people are fascinated by price action, and what I am explaining to you and describing to you is a price action-based system. However, I do not recommend that you start off there. You're going to see a lot of information out there. You're going to see a lot of tweets, comments, stuff on TradingView, stuff in trading discords, very confident and boisterous traders posting stuff on Twitter all the time, because I guarantee you, crypto Twitter will be there to tell you when their strategy worked flawlessly to a T, and they will never be there to tell you when their strategy didn't work whatsoever. So, and that's just par for the course. You know, I try to humble myself, and, you know, again, you guys can go check out current results.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Week 2, we ended up closing in the green, but it was a rough one. We didn't have as good of a week as we normally do. And that's just realistic trading. With any strategy-based system, you're going to have drawdown. You're going to have good months. You're going to have bad months. You're going to have great weeks. You're going to have bad weeks. The whole purpose, though, as I talked about earlier, with technical analysis in the first place, is utilizing TA to be able to define asymmetric risk to reward opportunities in the market and to be able to cut your losses. Again, 4 things can happen when you enter into a trade: a big win, small win, a big loss, or a small loss. If we can use technical analysis to just eliminate big losses, you're already going to have a massive advantage over the average market participant, the average retail market participant, because most individuals are not too bad at spotting bullishness and bearishness. There are some individuals that are terrible at this, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't trade. In fact, some of the best traders that I've tutored and mentored through this system are individuals that came in and they were just god awful terrible at trying to predict what price would do. I mean, just awful. Like, they would buy at the exact top, they would sell at the exact bottom. And if this is happening to you or has happened to you, it doesn't mean that this isn't for you. It just means that this is actually better, because those individuals don't start off with rosy-eyed glasses, right? They don't start off with the sunglasses of beauty on their face where, they come into the market and they make some big wins and, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to tell my boss to go shove it, and I'm going to be a professional trader, man. Yeah. And then they step out there on the limb, or they put too much capital in, and then they end up blowing out their account. Why does this happen? That happens because that just seems to be the nature of the beast, and another contributing factor to why a lot of retail traders lose money. But That's the there's two things that I guess there's multiple things that can happen to you when you begin trading. But if that is your story, if you started out with, you know, hey, amazing success, I'm going to quit my job, blah blah blah, this is amazing, and then you end up, as you will, losing a lot of money, or at least, you know, returning all your profit to the market. That's a bad thing that can happen to you. Why? Because you start out with a bad mentality. You start out with a bad mentality that So you start out with a bad mentality of, I can do this, and then you tend to blame the market, right? You tend to blame the market when you end up losing money, or giving your profits back. You're like, well, it was just the market. It wasn't me, because look at all these great successes that I had. And because you haven't been in the market that long, you don't know better. So you're fooling yourself, because it was all you. You came in unprofessionally. You came in subjectively, not having a well-defined system of cutting losses. And because of that, you allowed the one of four things that can happen in a trade, big losses, to negatively impact your account. With any successful trading strategy, and this is something that I focus on heavily too, your primary goal should not be throwing lots of big wins onto your account. Everybody's obsessed with that. The more important thing, guys, this is a long game. Work on cutting out your losses. Make that the focus of your indicator. Make that the focus of your strategy. Make the focus of your strategy to break even. All right? Because if you're breaking even, you're doing better than most people in the market, because most people are losing money. Don't believe what you hear, right? The large majority of traders come in and come right back out. So the goal of this channel is to produce not just professional traders, but profitable professional traders, right? I want you guys to understand that. So there's a big difference. So anyways, hopefully I focused on that well. Hopefully you guys can understand that. Let's see here. Sam Gould says, all is finally back to how it should be. Yes, man. Yes. Adam Collector Records. Hey, what's going on from the UK, man? Jefferson Airplane. Hey, good man. What's going on, my friend? Did I go with the 1 GB service? So it's 150 down and 50 up. So, and it's pretty well. I was getting a gigabyte down from Mediacom, and so that's kind of like, I'm losing that gigabyte down. But it's just not worth it, man, because their upload was just terrible. Ostensibly I should have been getting 50 megabytes up, but the past week, ever since everything kind of went dark last week, I was getting like 1 to 2 up, and I can't do that, man. So, hashtag screw Mediacom. National Satoshi'S Treasure, starring Nicolas Cage. It's Craig Wright trying to distract us from the Sue All Not and BSV delisting. Essentially. Crypto Caveman says, can't we just brute force the whole thing if that guy already brute force 3? Well, okay, so here's the thing. What's interesting about Cicada 3301 and Satoshi'S Treasure is that it's not all the page, that Satoshi'S Treasure or K2.Satoshi'S Treasure or whatever. It's not all like that. It's not all embedded in pages and passwords that you put in through verification through a server. So that's only some of the puzzles. The rest of them are going to be geographical. The rest of them are going to be things of that nature. So, and again, maybe I do need to look more into this, because as far as I know, it's not all on that one website. If it is all just on that one website, if all the clues are on that one website, then we might be in trouble. We're just going to have to see kind of what comes out. And, the sad thing is, I would say if it is all on that one website, then most likely it was a PR firm stunt by this Primitive Ventures, who are trying to like copy basically the Cicada 3301 type thing, which, by the way, is definitely what this is all based on, is the Cicada 3301 thing. But we'll just see. That would be disappointing, because it'd be really cool if it was like Cicada 3301, because Cicada 3301 was really, really hard and took a long time to solve. Took brilliance to solve. So I'm hoping that this Satoshi'S Treasure doesn't degenerate into, well, these guys had a really fantastic idea for a global treasure hunt, but they didn't really know the best about technology, and they just ended up putting all the value. They put it all in this one website that we could just brute force. We'll see what comes in, man. Tony, yeah, man, I'll definitely respond to your email, my friend. Ed McCracken says, looking at Walton, Bitcoin looks like a cup and handle, but has a small W pattern in the middle. What does that mean? I want to take a position when it breaks 42.72. Looks like a resistance level of the handle. So we can look at it, man. You guys kind of know how I feel about chart patterns, but we'll do our best. Oh, here we go. All right, we didn't end up looking at a lot of this stuff because I had to go off the air, so... Okay, we got Waltonchain. Somebody asked for Neo, I believe. Let's scroll back up to the top. Ardor. Did you say Arbor? Like the tree? Neo. And WTC. Glad that right over there. CBN5 says, I got a call from Awanda. That's interesting because that's my broker too. Because I haven't been trading for a while. Told them that I'm more into cryptos currently. He then told me, great news, we'll add cryptos with leverage to Awanda very soon. That would be so amazing, dude. If Awanda added cryptos with leverage, oh man. I mean, then I can just trade right through TradingView. That would be absolutely fantastic. Sadfield says, hello, I'm from a country where 1 Bitcoin equals 250,000 units of our currency. Is 50 Bitcoin enough to secure my finances when the market enters into a bull run? Let me rephrase that. Thank you. I just want to say yes. Like, yeah, you'd be driving a Lambo on the moon. Now, that's all predicated on the fact that Bitcoin will see new all-time highs and Bitcoin will enter another bull run. I do want to point out, and this is something that I elucidated on in the past pre-recorded videos that I was uploading for the last few days. I'm interested to see what the effect of and this is kind of like a false parameter, to be quite honest, because when I talked at length about how when we introduced cash settled futures into precious metals, price entered into a bear market in gold, and it took us 3 years to return to that previous high when we had cash settled futures. And when the CME launched futures in the first place, they famously quoted, "We will tame Bitcoin." So I don't think it's a coincidence that cash-settled futures, which are notorious for manipulating in the past currencies and spot index price of precious metals, primarily, those are our most significant examples that we do have historically now. I don't think it's a coincidence that the CME futures launched prior, very, very close to the exhaustion of the bull market in Bitcoin. So yeah, but listen, I would be kidding you if I didn't sit here and think that yes, Bitcoin will see new all-time highs. Bitcoin is one of the greatest assets to be in. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this show. So, but I'm always really cautious about just saying, yeah, man, it's just as simple as buying and holding. There are very good value investments. I think Bitcoin is one of them. So yeah, I think you will be. I can't guarantee that it's going to be enough for your financial future because I have no idea what your debt is like or what might happen in your country. And if you are in a country like that, which by the way does not necessarily mean it's a bad country or anything like that. My point is that there might be other issues just besides money. So yeah, I would be of the opinion that in the future, 1 Bitcoin will be pretty handsome for an individual. But again, we also have to keep in mind one of the fundamental goals of Bitcoin, which is to move us into a social economy where the valuation against the dollar does not matter, right? Just kind of like that Neo Morpheus Matrix Bitcoin meme, where he's like, wait, you're telling me that I can take this Bitcoin, one day I can sell all this Bitcoin for millions of dollars? And Morpheus says, no, what I'm trying to tell you is that by the time you're ready, you won't need to. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind, man. And ZERP. Yeah, that would be awesome, Batam. That would be really, really cool. We'd be able to do so much with that. Okay, let's ZERP. Let me add ZERP to the list. And Turd Ferguson, why I don't think an ETF will be released until the top of the next bull run. Big players need masses to sell to. Yeah, DaVinci J15 said something very similar on Ivan on Tech, which, by the way, is pretty much the only good thing I think that he said. You know, I hadn't looked, and again, I don't want to talk negative about anybody because obviously he seems like a very enjoyable guy, this DaVinci J15 guy. I didn't really know that he was a trader or that he promoted trading. I thought that that he just made calls or, you know, had made predictions about what the market might do based on fundamental reasons. I didn't know that he actually had his money in the market. But I watched that live stream of him on Ivan on Tech, and I mean, 99% of what he said sounded incompetent and didn't make any sense to me, right? Like, whenever anybody says that they're really good at something, but then they're very vague in explaining the specifics of how they're good at something, it's just bing, 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 bing. Warning signs just shoot up around my head, right? Because if you want me to explain a technical trading strategy, we're going to be here for a few hours because I can talk about the nuances. Why? Because this is something that I'm pretty damn good at and know a lot about. And not just I read an Investopedia article. No, I can go into things and break them down. Now, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying that's what I look for when I'm looking to respect somebody's opinion. So if I ask you a question about something that I don't know a whole lot about, and you are able to go into great detail, it means one of two things. You know what you're talking about, or you're a fantastic liar, right? And generally, with a little bit of your own research after that initial conversation, you can pretty much figure out if they're a giant douchebag liar or if they're really knowledgeable about what they're talking about, right? So, you know, for example, if I ask somebody about computer programming, right, and they're like, blah, 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 I'm running circles around my head, and I'm like, all right, wow, great, you seem to know what you're talking about. And then I'll call Ben and be like, hey, I talked to, you know, XYZ, and they said ZYX. Is this right? And he's either going to be like, yeah, that's totally right, or he's going to be like, no, they're full of shit. And you know, it's just a little bit of information, just a little bit of research. So, anyways, getting back to the bearish breaker. So typically, for me, anyways, a bearish breaker is the last down candle in an uptrend before a shift in market structure, right? So in this example right here, we're trading inside a larger bearish order block, but let's just try and ignore that for a second. It would probably be a little bit too much effort to try and get rid of it. So what we would typically do is we would mark, and I think this is a bad example because this is consolidation. Let me see if I can find a better. Let me see if I can find a better example. Yeah, so this is a pretty good example right here. Okay. So we've got a pretty strong uptrend right here, right? So this is the hourly chart, obviously, of XBT USD. We have a pretty strong uptrend. And we have our final bullish candle right here that marks our local top before the market shifts and we begin moving down, right? So where did the market shift? The market shifted right here. It shifted to the downside, you know, because we have a significant selling right here for about 7 hours. We have a slight retracement and then price pulls back down. So the way that you would trade a bearish breaker is that you would look at what was the last bearish candle in this uptrend before the shift in market structure. So not the beginning of the downtrend. What was the last bearish candle? So that would be this one right here. Okay. So this is going to be, for me, this is going to be a bearish breaker. Okay, not a bearish order block, a bearish breaker, right? The bearish order block would be this candle, the actual last up candle. Okay, so here's our bearish breaker though, and typically the way that this is traded is once the bearish breaker, you're going to, because I was about to jump to step 3, so let's stick with step 1. So once you've identified a bearish breaker, which again is the last down candle in an uptrend before a shift in market structure, okay? And again, this is where we enter the realm of subjectivity, because some people, I would argue that this is the shift in market structure. Some people have rules, because I've read different rules, that this is the shift in market structure. It's the significant selling candles, which actually is good because both scenarios line up on the daily chart for the current trade that I have in for Bitcoin. But anyways, when price returns to the bearish order block, this is an area where you can have limit orders set, right? This is an area where once price breaks below, once you have that shift in market structure and you're trading below, you're looking at this bearish breaker to be setting limit sell orders, right? Because you want to be short from this zone. This is just the trading strategy. So this is a bearish breaker, price is below, you're looking for pullbacks into the bearish breaker to sell into. You can see that price does end up retracing right back into the bearish breaker and firmly rejects. Okay, so great strategy. Now, if we project this into the future, what we're looking for is we're looking for this to flip, right? So we'll project this into the future. And once this bearish breaker gets broken through with little to no resistance, so we close cleanly above it here, big wick to the downside, but that level holds, then you're looking for all pullbacks into this area to go long from, right? So what do we see here? So here's two great examples of trading a bearish breaker. The initial, when the bearish breaker is formed, right here, price goes below, price pulls back into the bearish breaker. We have limit sell orders there, or we market enter if we're actively watching price there. Unless price closes above the bearish breaker convincingly, then we exit the trade on the short side. But anyways, we're initially looking at this with a short bias because price has broken below the bearish breaker. We've seen a shift in market structure. So now we are leaning bearish. We're looking to sell. Price retreats into the bearish breaker. You have limit sells or you market sell in that area. Price pulls down. Obviously, that was a fantastic trade setup. You had a 3 to 4% profit opportunity. Here on the hourly, you get a buy signal, so an exit signal from time transformation. So let's look at that bearish breaker. If you would have exited on the close, you would have had a good 2.43% trade, 2.5% trade. Great setup, great day trading scalp. It would have only taken you 6 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours. So good trade. That's something you put on before you go to bed, you wake up to. Or, okay, so this was actually a trade you would have put on the 15th around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And right before you went to bed, you'd be like, oh, time to get out. And then once price closes convincingly above the bearish breaker, it's a bull bar. And you're looking to have limit buy orders there, and you're looking to long any pullbacks into that zone. Where did the wick of this candle go into? Bam, bearish breaker, which is now a bull bar. So interesting strategy. A pretty popular strategy, one that's, I wouldn't say it's a popular strategy. I learned this from following ICT. I don't know, there's not too many people that I know in crypto that trade breakers or talk about breakers. There's a few of them. And I just don't know, I don't know, because I keep track of all my trades. I mean, they're publicly available, so I don't know their profitability or how well they do them. There's not a lot of great content out there for explaining breakers and order blocks and how to trade them in this fashion. So if I'm revealing Illuminati secrets, I'm sorry, I don't care. And again, this isn't always the way that I trade because you're entering into the realm of subjectivity. Because, for example, somebody could have said, okay, well, the shift in market structure didn't occur until here, so that means that this is the bearish breaker, right? That means that this candle's the bearish breaker. Okay, right here. And you can see that would not have worked out too well for you. Now, again, one example is not statistics, so it's not something that you can correlate and say, hey, well, it didn't work out that time, so therefore. But I'm just pointing out the way that I trade. So whatever way that you decide to trade this, if you decide to trade this, just make sure that you develop and plan a strategy and a system. And then just flip everything that I said. You can rewind the video and just replace everything that I said about bearish breakers with bullish breakers to the downside. Holo, yeah, we'll try and take a look at Holochain. Jay Constant says, I was bullish on Bitcoin when it was 3K. Now at the top, everybody is bullish. Moonshine Fuel says, I think he's out of the market for right now for the most part. I think you're talking about Da Vinci J. CBN5 says, Justin, that guy from Rwanda also told me they'll add stocks to their platform too besides crypto. Well, they already have stocks on there, but they're CFDs. They're contracts for difference. So if you're in the States, because I do live in the States, we can't trade CFDs. And we also only have access, depending on where you live in the United States, but in general, the majority of you, you're only going to have access to very, very, very low leverage on precious metals, which sucks. Because I trade with 20x leverage on Forex is how I traded, and how again, you guys know I kind of started up the demo account. Haven't done as much with it as I wanted to, especially kind of with the internet issues, and obviously focusing on got a lot of projects that we're working on in the group. Cool. My session was about to expire. I love it. Always when something's about to happen. Let's see here. Mr. Etherman, good to see you, bro. Well, what length do I recommend for the Fisher link? 7. What do I think about Addis crypto trading software? Seems to be great for order book trading. Seems as Bennett switched completely from TradingView to Addis. Yeah, I mean, we definitely approach the market in a different way. I prefer to look for longer term setups, and when I scalp, I prefer to use technical indicators. But as I said, this is something that isn't my significant strength. So I encourage, and it's something that I definitely am looking into, things like Addis, things like Cryptometer, things like market depth ratio. I just started incorporating market depth ratio. We have the bot on our Discord that scans the market depth ratio. So big shout out to Golk for designing that. He did a fantastic job with it. They've never been integral elements of my trading strategy. They're newer, so I want to see more. So here's the thing, and this is just my point here. I've been trading my way for a long time, and I'm comfortable with it. And although my strategies have shifted over time, the technical indicators that I've used, especially for crypto, have shifted over time. Like, you guys can just go back to my old videos and seen how I've shifted my basket of indicators over time to find what works properly and what works really, really well over time. But I'm very comfortable with the way that I trade, and although I know that, that's going to come out the wrong way. There are things like Addis, things like Cryptometer, things like market depth ratio. They're really, really good and fantastic. And you guys know I look at sentiment, I look at market depth ratio, I look at the bid ask sum. Those are all really good, but they're fairly new. And the edge that they give you is, again, if you can trade them very well, like, my hat's off to you. And I'm interested in finding out how I can incorporate them into my strategy. But I do know that what I do works really well. So I've worked on perfecting this for quite a while. And I'd be eager and excited to incorporate other tools that can complement my strategy into my trading discipline. So I'm curious to see the edge that these tools give in a few months, or in a few years when they become mainstream. Now, that's the nature of trading. You go where the volatility is. So if these tools are giving you a fantastic edge in the market right now, hell yeah. That's awesome. And I'm excited. And some of them are really cool. I haven't gotten a chance to play around with Addis yet. I have it. I haven't booted it up. I haven't had time to do it. But it's definitely something I'll look into. My only word of caution is, if, and again, this falls into my big disclaimer about price action. When you step into the realm of price action, it's very easy to, because the majority of traders go down this path, they do it subjectively. All right. So, basically, like what I've heard from people that are trading like Cryptometer, for example, right? They're going to look at large trade activity, and they're going to look for large sell activity, and then they're going to buy. They're going to try to buy into a reversal off of a large amount of selling. That can be fine, man. That can be fine. That can be a really profitable strategy. But what I recommend that you do is that you have some system, right? So how much has to be sold? What's a significant trade relative to how much of its 24-hour circulating supply, relative to what percentage of its total market cap? How much selling does there have to be? What is my take profit level? What is my signal for taking profit? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be very rare where you get like a massive amount of selling and then a massive amount of buying to tell you to exit the market. You're going to want some technical indicator, or you're going to want some system to tell you when to exit the trade and take profit. So yeah, whatever you're doing. And again, this is going to be part of the series that comes out in May for you guys, so we can start. This is going to be the course that I'm developing. That's going to be. I'm going to start premiering it in May for the premium. Excuse me, for the premium subscribers. Step-by-step instructions on building your own if this then that strategy, and you don't have to focus on technical indicators. If you want to focus on price action, that's fine. But whatever you do, it has to be a disciplined system that has rules that you can backtest. You have to be able to backtest it. If you can't backtest your system, if it's willy-nilly and subjective, it's not going to work out too well for you. You're going to have a bad time. Would I buy Cheetos at this low price? With this low price, do we go lower? Interesting. All right, guys. So let's talk about the bearish order block that we're talking about here. Similar thing that is a little bit different. So what is the last up candle before a shift in market structure? We have a shift in market structure right here. We have a significant amount of selling. And what we're looking for now is for sellers in the marketplace to defend their position. Okay. I had talked previously about, so I have two trades in on XBT USD right now. My original short from 53.50, 40% closed, stop loss at break even, and then the secondary trade that I had pushed to the, well, both the trades got posted in the premium signals channel, and that I talked about on stream. So I talked about both those trade setups because I commonly almost always talk about XBT USD or Bitcoin trades on the stream because I want everybody to be able to benefit from my analysis. Anyway, so trading back into the bearish order block, when we have a bearish order block, you look at that zone as an area to be short from. That's a get down and stay down zone, okay? Until we close convincingly above the close of that candle or the open of this candle right here. All right, so the open of this candle right here is 53.21. So I want to see a daily close above the bearish order block, a daily close above 53.20. For me, that number is actually 5,300. If I see the daily close above 5,300, that is an invalidation of short entries, and we are going to push higher in the market. It's not a raid of these highs. If we look at lower time frames, we can already see how these highs have been raided multiple times. All right, there's no reason to raid these highs for a second time. That's another dangerous thing about having a subjective strategy, about not having rules, because one way that I've seen people interpret like stop loss hunts, like people are really fascinated by that because people want to buy the absolute top or bottom of a market, is they think that every wick above a high is a grab for liquidity. Well, it's not always. It's not always, and having that in your head that every time price goes above a local high or below a local low, the thing is this, is their idea of how far the market should move in the opposite direction. It's taking profit at that point. Where to take profit becomes an issue with that form of analysis, not necessarily where to enter. Because if you have entering above local highs, having limit sell orders set above local highs is actually not a bad strategy, right? There are dangers to it. It has its own set of risks and things that you can definitely work on and improve. Favno, hey, thanks so much for the sub on YouTube, man. Welcome to the family. It carries its own set of unique risks that you do have to develop a system and strategy to compensate against. But in general, can give you pretty good entries. The problem then becomes, well, where do I take profit, right? Because if you're only looking for the same thing on the opposite side, you need to have some form of exit signal. Like if this happens, it's telling me that even if it gives me a false signal, right, and price continues to go lower, if I'm short, or price continues to go higher if I'm long, at the end of the day, taking or heeding that warning to exit the trade will, over a large period of time, be more profitable than being stubborn and sticking in a trade. Being stubborn and sticking in a trade, even when the system that you've designed is telling you to get out. I mean, it happens all the time, man. Like price comes down to your stop loss. You want to say that, oh, it's okay. It's not a real, like price is going to go up. We're just going to do a liquidity grab. So I'm just going to take my stop loss off or move my stop loss down lower. And then, price ends up going lower than your stop loss and staying below your stop loss level and didn't pop back up as you had expected. And so now you're stubborn. Now your mentality is, well, I might as well add more because now I don't want to take a loss. Take the loss, man. Take the loss. Your trade thesis was invalidated. So study the results of your trading strategy over time and determine, is it my trading strategy that is causing me to take losses, or was that just a bad trade, right? You don't want to jump the gun and just say, oh well, my trading strategy sucks because I took this loss. You need to run tests for quite a while, man. You need to study your system. You need to back test it for a long time. You need to forward test it for a long time, whether that's with small capital or with paper trading. Okay. True. So what's going on, man? Yeah, you guys are getting down on stuff that's on sale. Okay. So yeah, man, not a whole lot's changed, honestly, with Bitcoin's price. I mean, we're putting in some nice bullishness today. The intraday trade is to the upside right now, but the swing position for me is to the short side, man. I'm looking at all opportunities. I mean, I'm already fully filled. I got fully filled on this wick. And yeah, my stop loss right now is that daily close above my daily close above 5,300. I have a hard stop at 5,350, which would overall break me even on the trade, because it would be because that would correlate the 40% of profit that I've already taken from the short position from 5,350 that I already took on these lows right here. Looking to take profit significantly lower should everything work out. But that would neutralize the trade for me. So would I have made a ton of money off of this position? No, but I definitely would not have lost a lot of money. Robert Carr, hey, thanks so much for the subscription on YouTube, man. Welcome to the community. So our daily levels, our significant levels of support and resistance haven't changed a whole lot, because I did update them on the close of the weekly candle and the previous close of the 3-day candle. So not a whole lot's changed with that. We still have our daily Tenkan, the next significant horizontal coming in on the BitMEX chart is going to be 48.44. All right, that is our previous level. That's our previous horizontal dating all the way back here to 2017. Or excuse me, sorry, that's actually the 3-day Kijun. The level that we bounced off of and found support off of, so that 50.16, that was actually our previous horizontal, my bad. The 3-day Kijun coming in at 48.44, getting down below that, we have our daily Tenkan coming in here right at this zone of 47.44, 47.50. We don't have another level of support until the daily Kijun or the 3-day Tenkan coming in around 4,500, okay? It does seem that we have, for some reason, 2 lines there, but whatever, it's okay. See if I delete one. Okay, cool. Cleared that up. Hate double lines. And as we continue to progress through this, these lines will get flipped, switched around, and we reevaluate these every day. So some of these lines do move, but they're important. Why? Because again, dashed lines are areas for setting limit orders that we can take advantage of, either as take profit levels for shorts or entry levels for long orders. Now, again, whether those turn into local bottoms and we can actually expect a sustained swing movement, you don't know until you break a level of resistance. But what I do know is that having limit buy orders at those significant levels of support generally work out well for you. Just make sure that you are defining your risk, that you are position sizing correctly, and that you do have a stop in place, so that should the market move significantly against you, as it did on a candle like this, you're protected. K7 Jixer, man, good to see you back enjoying the live stream, man. Wendy Brown Eye, breakers only work with assets with liquidity. So hold on. So Bitcoin has liquidity because you can generally easily get your order filled on any exchange that you want for most retail traders. So I assume, so based on that, your argument or your statement becomes breakers only work on assets with more liquidity than Bitcoin. I assume is what you're saying, and I respect your opinion, but I do find that breakers work pretty well. Again, it's not the only strategy that I trade, but when I do see a good breaker setup and it congrues well with all the other data that I'm looking at for a trade setup, that defines a good risk or asymmetric risk to reward entry position for me. Dark Crypt D says, do I think we will break 5.4 and reach 6K soon, or is a pullback imminent? So I'm trading the pullback. Should we close above 5,300 on the daily, then we will, we will break 5,400. No doubt about it. We've already rated these local highs. There's not a whole lot of liquidity above here. The liquidity comes back into the market once we get closer to that $6,000 region. And you'll know it when you'll see it, because it will be a massive sell-off. Should we reject from here and have a more significant pullback to that $4,400 level? That's what I'm trading on right now. That's my trading thesis for my current setup. But again, should we close above 5,300? I'll be okay. I'll be going long because odds are we do hit 5,700, 5,800, if not a little bit higher. K7 says BSV is getting delisted all over the place. Yeah, it is. It's kind of become like the weakest link. And just goes to show us that we are in the wild west of crypto, man. And an exchange does rule immense executive authority over what can happen. You know, there is the argument to be made that, yes, okay, it's easy to like all jump. And again, I think Craig Wright is a fucking joke because go watch my pre-record from yesterday where I just break down how much of a scammer he is. But my point is that, and I brought this up in that video, it's easy for us to all like point to the guy we don't like and say, yeah, fuck him, he's a loser. But the problem is the precedent that we set for the future, right? Because yeah, it's easy to just be like, yeah, Craig Wright, he's a joke, he's a scam. But when we're talking about does Binance, is it right for Binance? And again, they're a company, they can do whatever they want. But is it right for us to set this precedent of, a CEO that represents a cryptocurrency project kind of putting egg on their face, and it's not directly related to the technicals or the fundamentals of that blockchain project? We're just like judging the ego of its creator or promoter. Is that a sufficient reason to delist tokens or to delist cryptocurrency projects from exchanges? Because now you're affecting the livelihood of investors, right? And you're affecting the livelihood of traders who might have been interested in trading that liquid asset. So again, it's really easy for, this is why gangs exist. This is why, bullies exist in high school. This is why cliques exist in high school, for example. It's tribe mentality in human beings that it's easy for us to kind of group up and point at the weakling because we're scared, we don't want to be kicked out into the cold. This goes back to, before when we were primitive and we were hunter-gatherers and we lived in tribes. This is why human beings are afraid of public speaking, because typically if you were speaking in front of a large group audience, primordially, tribally, back when our biology is still hunter-gatherers. Socially, we've evolved. Technologically, we've evolved a little bit more, but psychologically and biologically, we still have the same. Circuits in our brain that are hardwired back to the same mentality that existed back during hunter-gatherer or tribalism times. Because typically, in the past, if you were public speaking, that means your entire tribe was looking at you, which meant that this was serious, right? Which typically meant like you were in trouble and potentially going to get kicked out of the tribe or banished or something like that. So generally that means you would die because you wouldn't be able to survive the elements and the harsh conditions on your own. You need the benefit of a tribe, or it just means that you're banishment and shunning, people think that, I'm a lone wolf, I can make it. Well, that didn't work back in the day, man, because unless you're going to live that means that your entire lineage is cut off. And that means that you're not going to have any offspring that you have a very low chance of your genetic, of creating a genetic future for yourself, of ensuring the propagation of your genes and your memes. Because it's very difficult once you get kicked from the tribe. It's very difficult for you, even if you end up surviving, you have to raise children without the benefit of a tribe to protect you and defend you, or to help you gather food, or just to provide all the benefits of tribal existence. So yeah, this is the psychological reason why human beings are more terrified of public speaking than just about anything else, because it cuts down to that hardwired circuit that we have that says, oh crap, I might be about to die. So yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned about the precedent that it does set. But obviously, Craig Wright's a fucking joke and a scammer, and I think that in my opinion, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Cash SV are more negative for the cryptocurrency ecosystem than they are positive. But again, just to play devil's advocate, there is an equal argument that, hey man, this is open source, open space, people can do whatever they want. So I just want us to understand what it is, what the potential precedent that we are setting is. Anyways, guys, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to take a quick break, go grab some more coffee. I'll be back in just a couple minutes, guys. While you're waiting, I'd highly appreciate it if you go on over to topg.krakencryptocurrency.com. Give us an upvote. Doesn't cost you anything. You just click this vote for us button right here. It's a Discord server ranking website. just pushes us up higher in the search results. We highly appreciate the support, guys. Also, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, man, and you want to keep coming back and never miss an episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell, because the YouTube algo doesn't often like cryptocurrency traders. You know, they're going to create their own cryptocurrency at some point, and they don't really want us out there front running the market on them. So anyways, guys, highly appreciate that. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up button if you do appreciate what we're doing here, guys. I do appreciate that. I'll be right back, guys. All right, we're back, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me during the break. And a big shout out to everybody who liked the video, subscribed if they weren't already subscribed, and went and supported us on Top G. Highly appreciated. All right. Excuse me. Let's get into the requests for today, guys. So something that I'm interested in is Engine Coin just got a USDT pair on Binance. And you guys know, excuse me, you guys know that I really enjoy trading the USDT pairs. Especially, so a good reason, a good example is ZERP. So if we look at ZERP USDT, if we look at ZERP USDT and go to the hourly chart, we can see this uptrend beginning on XRP USDT. Here's our hourly buy signal right here. We can see this uptrend on XRP USDT putting in about 7% growth over the last 24 hours. And very different from XRP BTC. So it took XRP BTC a little while to catch up and put in this nice little spike. This nice little spike that it only put in a few hours ago. So very different growth. You generally don't get the wild volatility that you're going to see on the USDT pairings. There's a lot of reasons for that. But essentially, I think the big reason is, again, when you're trading leveraged contracts on BitMEX, you know, individuals with not a lot of capital can move the market, even though they might end up getting flash liquidated, or, you know, that's generally not the best decision for them to make. Again, the purpose of leverage is not to allow you to take on larger risk than you're allowed to. That's a rookie mistake. A lot of people are going to take on excessive leverage, and it's not the leverage doesn't matter. It's the position size that the leverage allows you to take. So if you're using leverage as a cheating tool to take on a position size that you should know through just an analysis of your capital on deposit, or capital in general. It's not, leverage allows you to have less capital on deposit to open up your general position size trade. But if you have a trade open where the position size is so large that if things don't go right, you're going to blow your account out, you're doing something wrong. You should never have a position size that large, right? Cryptocurrency trading is not about, hey, thanks so much for the subscription, Kanji. Thank you. Appreciate it. Trading, and I know that this is so unpopular, but this is not about getting rich quick overnight, guys. You know, it's a fantasy. It's not a mentality that's going to serve you well, because basically what you're asking is, if you're looking for a get rich quick scheme, you're saying that I am not willing to actually push my life in a direction, right? I want something that is easy, that is simple. And that's why a lot of people got involved in cryptocurrency, because they saw these massive pumps, and they think that the purpose of cryptocurrency is, hey man, like, you just buy and hold and you get rich, dude. Look what happened to all these people. That's not a good mentality. It's not a healthy mentality. There's a difference between value investing when you have the capital to do value investing, or if that's your time frame, or if that's your investment thesis. But the whole, like, oh, I'm going to trade crypto, I'm just going to get rich overnight, like, you're going to probably fall into that basket, that large basket of traders, that 90 to 99% of traders who end up losing money. Because trading for me was never about getting rich, although trading profitably for a number of years has been very well to me, like has done very well, and I live okay. But the purpose of trading for me was always about having financial freedom and being able to do what I wanted, and being able to have control over the legacy that I would be able to pass down to my children and to my family when I die. I don't want my retirement account being in control of some 401k or some pension plan that's just going to get scammed and run over by Wall Street like they always do. Who were the first funds? Who was gutted during the 2008 financial collapse? Pension funds. Pension funds got gutted, okay? And guess what happened to investment banks? They did great. They did absolutely fantastic. Why? Because they were able to hold their positions. Pension funds sold the bottom. They were the ones who got sold these chopped up, diced up credit default swaps. This just goes on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, I digress. So anyways, so I'm going to be interested to be trading the E&J USDT pairing. If I see a good trade on it, I'm going to wait a few days for it to populate with some data, because right now on TradingView, it's not even showing up. Let's try it again. Yeah, anytime TradingView does this, it's like, It's not my internet connection. Did I break you? It appears that I broke you. Chris Mason, hey, what's going on, man? Oh, there we go. Yeah, no data is populating yet on the Binance USDT pairing, so we'll just wait a little bit for some data to populate. But we can go over to Binance. And go chain. Okay, because it's not live yet. All right, that makes sense. Probably should have read that announcement a little bit closer this morning. Yay! The 18th. Okay, so 2 days. So tomorrow at 4 a.m. UTC. Interesting. Okay, cool. So that'll be pretty cool. So one potential setup would be, let's see what the price of Engine BTC is. Pretty high right now, relatively. You know, sometimes the thing, you know, who says technical analysis doesn't work, man? Wicked right down into the entry zone, flash 3 buy signals on the daily, and up we go. Again, this is that breakout pattern that I've said that I do like. You do have liquidity above these highs, so I'd be a little cautious about this. But again, you have this nice low form. You clear liquidity and come into a support area right here. And you tap those highs, you test liquidity, you pull back, and you form a higher low. I talked about that with Ethereum, Bitcoin. I've talked about that with a lot of trade setups. That's one of those few. Breakout trade setups that I do like to see. Like, these are the prerequisites that I like to see for a potential breakout trade. As always, I'm always looking for a BPC, a break, pullback, continuation, right? So a break above resistance, a pullback, and a confirmation, right? And a higher low. Those are the things you want to see. So Engine actually looks pretty good. That wasn't even a request though. So let's get into what was requested. So we've got Waltonchain. Waltonchain on the daily. Okay. Been a while since I've looked at this. Let's see here, man. All right, so here's what we got on the daily. We do have the daily. We have the Fisher transform. We have time transformation crossing above the 0 line confirmed on this candle right here. If we look down at what Wada is telling us to do, though, it's telling us there's no trending trade on the table. We can see that the explosion line is getting tight. So the explosion, this is something that I haven't gone over with nuance about the Wada. This explosion level is comparable to a Bollinger Band of what Wada volume bars are measuring in the first place. So when you see the explosion level very low, that means that that price is compressing and getting tight, and you're looking for that expansion, right? You're looking for that bar above to trade above that. So this is kind of like looking for a Bollinger Band breakout, but it's just better. So you're looking for that bar to trade above the explosion level and to give you confirmation to be entering into a trending trade. So the 25th of February, 2019, you do get that indication because you see price getting tight and you have that nice explosion. You also have a confirmed crossover on the time transformation. So that would have been a reversal entry signal. The real trend trade entry signal would have been right here on this. If we used Quadrigo, I bet we would have hit our daily target quite nicely on that. And price comes back to your break even, you're holding on, and price comes up further, and you get that until you get that confirmed sell signal on the daily right there. So pretty good. Price comes back down. You get some hidden bullish divergence on this candle right here. You don't get the go-ahead to trade until this candle right here, the 25th of March 2019. Yep, that gives you the go-ahead with a confirmed crossover after hidden bullish divergence. And if you had any doubts, you would have been in the trade on this candle right here because time transformation crosses above the zero line. And Waltonchain is emphasizing the trade. Plus, there was a lot of bullish fundamentals about engine at that time. It was that whole S10 thing was going on, and would have set you up for a good 50% trade at that point in time, waiting for confirmation. So here's what I see looking at Waltonchain on the daily. I do see consolidation. Again, you guys know how I feel about chart patterns, but I do just want to point out the consolidation that's taking place here. Price is forming in a symmetrical triangle structure. Again, I always, there have been times that I'll draw trend lines and I'll very patiently try to connect all the wicks. I'll try to patiently connect all the candle bodies. I don't use chart patterns as a trading discipline. I just look at them to tell me what price is doing. Remember, you're always drawing your trend lines with crayon and not fine tip marker. So it doesn't matter if you use the wicks. It doesn't matter if you use the candle bodies in general, because I don't think that you should be trading based off what those levels are. I think that what they are important for you is showing you what price is doing in a general fashion. And so this is just showing us visually that price is contracting, all right? We get further confirmation from that on Waltonchain because we do see that our explosion level is tightening up. Our explosion level is moving down after a large blast of volatility. So our volume and our volatility is tightening up. What happens after volatility expansion? What happens after periods of low volatility? High volatility, you do get violent expansion. So let's look at these lows and look at these highs and see if we can't figure out what we want to do. So below this level here would confirm a breakdown out of this symmetrical pattern, would be quite bearish. So we will put support weak right there. And similarly, this level right here would be weak resistance as well. So in a very broad sense, we're looking for confirmed breakouts, so BPCs of these levels. So break, pullback, continuation of Waltonchain, and similarly to the downside, if you have confirmed sell. Now I would be I would not want to be in this trade should the daily close below 38,730, so 38,730 Satoshis. I would be interested in a long breakout position above 44,550 Satoshis. I would also, but that's not how I trade. I don't like to take breakout trades. I'll take them if the conditions are right. But again, you guys know that I look for my technical indicators. So looking at this right now, we do have the time transformation above the zero line, so a potential trending trade is on the table. We don't have confirmation. We can't take that trade because Waltonchain is not bullish. So should this flip bullish and give us the volume that we want, because really the volume on this daily candle is quite weak, and the volume has been weak for quite a while. There's just low volume, letting us know that price is consolidating and clearing up. So we will wait for a position here. I don't think anything's to be done now. You could take your stab. You could take your chance at entering in low volatility. I don't like to do that. I would prefer to see some confirmation to enter into the trade. Let's see here. Look at the weekly. Yeah, we've had a lot of selling right here, a lot of buying, step back into the market. Yeah, the market's at a crossroad right now for Waltonchain. It's at that significant level of previous weekly resistance, so support turn resistance, as we can see right here. And that's literally where, right on the nose, right? The lowest low of the weekly candle. These lows as well, we can see how this level acted as support, and then it acted as resistance on this weekly candle until a brief break above. Yeah, this is iffy, man. This is iffy. Now, if we see some further consolidation, because again, one thing that can also happen, this is why I don't trade chart patterns, is because you can have a fake break either way and then just continue to consolidate in this range. If we do consolidate in that range, I do like to see consolidation at resistance, typically a bullish sign. So yeah, this is a do nothing chart for me right now. This is an area of the market where we're about to be oversold. We're about to be overbought on the weekly. We're not quite there yet, but we do see our time transformation tightening up right there. Let's see here. We do see volatility obviously increasing on the weekly chart right here. So where was the weekly entry signal? Right here. on this candle. So the week of the 11th of March would have put you in the market right here, and you would be up about 26% trading the weekly time frame. So not too bad. Not too bad. Going to our 3-day, because that's more tradable, and we can look at some of our critical levels right here. Yeah. So currently getting rejection from the 3-day Ichimoku right now. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that break above and trade into, because I mean, really, with altcoins, especially with Walton here, you're kind of on that precipice where you're just looking. I mean, a 3-day edge-to-edge cloud trade would be putting your profit target up here, which makes a whole lot of sense. That's your previous consolidation zone. You know, this is you have significant consolidation here, and everything is just pretty much expansion. The market was moving pretty quickly, moved down very quickly, moved up very quickly. We can confirm that by looking at the volume profile as well. I would bet you. Yep, shallow gap of the volume profile right there. Shallow gap. You've got your centered node right here where you have the most volume being transacted. You gapped right through that area. You're consolidating it at your last period. Yeah, getting above here, there's really not a whole lot of resistance, man. Getting above here. So potentially this might even be a better level, that 48,359, because I don't see much stopping price. Doesn't mean that it won't, but I don't see much stopping price from coming back up here to the previous consolidation. Should we get a nice bullish breakout? That would be congruent with a 3-day TK crossover. We haven't gotten the bullish cross yet, and we are again currently getting rejection from the 3-day Kumo cloud. Again, after this much negative price history, obviously the future cloud is bearish. We broke above the weekly Tenkan and are currently holding it as support. So again, more confluence there. So closing down below this level would also be a close below the weekly Tenkan. Going back to our daily, we have that bullish TK cross confirmed on this candle right here. And we do wait for price to test our Kijun or our Tenkan. So average entry is around this zone, this nice little barrier between the Tenkan and the Kijun. And I mean, that was the best possible entry. You would have profited immensely off of trading the TK cross right there, or the break above the point of control. Either would have worked quite well. Yeah, this is, I don't really want to do anything with this chart, man. This looks really, really good if we get a nice bullish breakout with some sustained movement. But if that happens, man, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for us to get all the way up here. So I'd say that would be pretty good. Right now, you just want to be patient and wait for the market to give you a clear sign, because this has right now as much probability of breaking down as it does breaking up. Let's go down to the intraday, see if we can find anything intraday. Yeah, you had a nice trade right here. Get a nice TK cross right on this candle, and you wait for the pullback. Maybe this zone right here. Price pulls back to the top of the Kumo cloud right there. Price makes another little spike. Price pulls all the way down to the Kumo and the Kijun. This is a great buy right here. And then would have given you a nice potential 4% trade intraday. Even if you were trading traditional Ichimoku and were exiting the trade on the close below the Tenkan, you still got a nice profit right there. Price is back testing the cloud right now. Doesn't look like a bad swing. You'd manage your risk right here. Close below the cloud. So if you're taking a stab at an entry on the retest of the cloud, you'd have a stop loss here at about 42,035. About 0.061 below you. And you're gonna have to use your own metrics for taking profit, but on the 15, we did just get a continuation cross below the 0 line on time transformation, and Wadatar's bearish, so I'd be hesitant about that. But just naked trading Ichimoku, this would be a buy. But looking at these, it doesn't look like the best setup. Go to the hourly. Yeah, I don't really like the way the hourly looks. I mean, you have the break above the Kumo cloud and the pullback, so you do have that BPC. Oh, I mean, you just trade this the normal way, right? So this is kind of congruent with the whole breakout thing, man. Looking here on the hourly, where do you have your Kijun? When price breaks above the cloud and then pulls back and holds the cloud as support, traditionally you would wait until you close above the Kijun to enter into a trade if you're hesitant. And because I am hesitant, because I am hesitant based on, now this hour hasn't closed, so it's not super indicative. We've got 32 minutes for it to close, but it does look to me like we did break resistance of the Kumo cloud, found support on the Tenkan. Pulling back though, and right now we've just back tested and got rejected from the Kijun. So let's see. This would be a good trade, man, if we do break that hourly Kijun, at least on the hourly chart. You could trade it on the 15-minute if you want. That'd probably be congruent with us breaking the, I don't know, it'd be congruent with us breaking the 15-minute Kijun. So yeah, it doesn't look bad, dude. Doesn't look terrible. Intraday at least. Intraday at least. Let's see if we can get some nice continuation from this. Get a nice, we take out that. We take out this, which is fine to do. Again, you're drawing with crayon, not pencil. But this is the lowest too, so at least I'm being honest to a system. You get this nice ascending trend line as well. You got some nice confluence there with your stop loss level on your 15-minute chart, closing below the cloud and closing back inside the cloud for the hourly. So doesn't look bad, worth a swing, especially if you're managing risk real tightly there. That's less than a 1% stop. But higher time frames to do nothing. I mean, I hate looking at charts and doing analysis like this because it's like, hey, if you go up here, it's bullish. If you go down here, it's bearish. But there are some times where it's just that simple, man, where you just want to be patient and wait for the market to give you direction. Chris Mason, we're going to look at ZERP, man. Floyd, sorry I'm late. Can I start again? Yeah, man, we'll just start at the very beginning. Was the downtrend orchestrated by whales and major companies pulling the train back so they could get on board? I mean, that seems to make as much sense as anything else. I mean, listen, the downtrend was either caused, I mean, realistically, the downtrend physically was caused by more selling than buying, right? So either we hit a level where people who had been holding for a long time, like long-term holders of Bitcoin, or maybe not long-term holders, but people who had sizable positions, doesn't matter because that's all tinfoil hat speculation. But somewhere in the vicinity of 19,000, you had you had a lot of selling, and then you had a lot of piling onto that selling, right? Because people were wanting to get out at the top. You saw within 24 hours, price drop all the way down. I mean, price dropped from 19,000 to 9,000 in less than 24 hours and shot right back up. A lot of people don't remember that. So immediately got bought right back up, and then as price descended, that's why I said you got a lot of trap sellers, man, because basically, and that's why every pump failed when we bounced off 6K, because the people that bought that dip up at 6K took every opportunity to sell at a profit, right? Took every opportunity to sell at a profit. But I do think that, putting on the tinfoil hat, as I said, CME futures launched, immediately prior to the bear market beginning, right? And they said, we're going to tame Bitcoin. This is exactly what happened with gold as well, right? They launched cash settled futures, which means that you can short sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of something that you don't own. And this is why physically delivered futures are better for actual price discovery, and why I support what Bakkt is doing, what Ledger X is doing. John says, I think Bitcoin is being propped up for the daily golden cross, and the volume from alts has been bled to prop up Bitcoin for this cross. Then once it happens and everyone is bullish, Bitcoin will dump. Agreed. Okay, so that's Walton. Let's look at Neo. Sorry, before I do that. All right, am I pretending to type so it sounds like I'm working? No, you can see what I'm typing right here, dude. Yeah, Ricky Thompson. Yeah, exactly. It's either that or manipulation, right? Probably a blend of both, to be quite honest with you. Crypto Caveman. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, man, like we have analysts that do different time frames. I mostly focus on swing trading, but we do day trading as well, man. But I think the reality, the large portion of what I try to do there is, I never just want to provide signals. Okay, like we do that, and they're good, they're damn good, right? You guys can go check out currentresults.crackingcryptocurrency.com. That's every trade that I take, or that we take as a team, because you'll see the initial of who made the call. They're not the majority are me, but they're not all me. We have other analysts as well. Um, but my main purpose with the premium trading group is to provide a community where you can talk with people who are serious about trading and get. I mean, there's a huge advantage. Listen, go on Telegram and try to find a serious Telegram channel where you can talk serious trading and not get spammed with BS. Right? It's very difficult to do. There's very few serious trading chat channels, discords, groups out there. So I want to make something for professional traders to have a hub to communicate and work more closely together and benefit their own skills. I want to create a more intimate environment where I can work more closely with individuals and help mentor them and help them develop their own strategy to trade with, right? And then I want to provide material that I have painstakingly produced and that I know damn well is worth money. So I deserve to be paid for my content, because my time is valuable. So I've created a medium and a place where I can create that content and share it with individuals who want to learn from me. And that's the impetus for the trading group, man. I would, yes. Okay. Man, I spent a lot of time on Waltonchain there. I'm gonna have to skip some of these requests. Whoa! Last trade. Wow, that's asymmetric, but whatever. That's a 2-2. That was the last trade we took. Man, I haven't looked at this in a while. Look, there's even a Fibonacci even a Fibonacci retracement on there. Wow. All right, well, let's clean Neo up, man. Did this for a while. Any user. Wow. Well. Oh, what do we have here? Okay. So what you're saying is buy the dip. You know what's so funny, dude? This always happens, man. So this was like a week or so ago, man. It was. I mean, I bet if I go back and really get serious about it, like I would have just nailed this area perfectly. I was, every morning I wake up and I review news, and just kind of read what's going on in the market. And I remember specifically reading a couple articles about Neo, and it was just like a week or so ago. And straight up, the article said, like, with like the cryptocurrency markets booming, Neo is the new, is Neo an investor's new love, something like that. Like Neo, is the next hot cryptocurrency that investors are piling into. I mean, it was on CCN, it was on Cointelegraph, it was on all the websites, right? I remember specifically reading, like, I read the length of two articles, but I remember seeing more. And I mean, yeah, it was about a week or two ago, and you know, look, I mean, this is always happens. This is like you know, CNBC saying, "Hey guys, Ripple is like really, really high, man. It's probably going to go higher. You should probably buy some Ripple, man. You should probably buy Ripple at $2." You know, and then bueno. Anyways, but let's get serious. So I haven't seen a, okay, so first off, we haven't seen a volume spike that would denote an end in selling, just low volume selling, which is extremely bearish. Where might there be interested buyers in the market? Well, there might be interested buyers in the market here. Why? Because this is a previous level of resistance. So we have right here. And if we cannot hold the price here, potentially here might be good area to buy. 00198, previous resistance, previous support, just a hotbed, hot area of liquidity. When we get closer to that level, we can utilize average true range to actually develop a buy zone and then define our risk parameters. Getting down below that, shit, man. Here, and then, you know, obviously here, bottom of the market. I like this level right here is pretty good. We can see it's a local bottom here as well. It's the bottom of the market back in 2017 as well. So that is another 5 to 6% to the downside. So let's utilize, let's just do that. What is the average true range value right now? Current price of Nano is 0.00208, so 208,700 Satoshis. And the current value of ATR is 12,108 Satoshis. So, okay. So let's bust out the old calculator. Haven't done this one in a while. But this is the ATR bottom catching strategy. All right, so we've defined an area where there's likely to be liquidity in the market. Previous resistance, it's a critical horizontal. Let's go to our weekly and see if we can find confluence with this level with any of our technical indicators. No. What about CC EMA? No. Okay. Going to the 3-day. No. No. I mean, we're below all higher time frame moving averages and Ichimokus. True. Okay. All right. I can picking up what you're putting down, Neo. What you're saying is, don't even want a bull market. Okay. So nothing below us for confluence except for critical horizontals, okay? At least nothing that I use. Yeah, nothing that I use. So the only tool that I have available to myself to try and catch this bottom is either A, wait for bullish activity, right? Wait for consolidation on one of these levels and then a break of resistance, whether that's local resistance whatsoever. So, I mean, just similar right here, right? Like the market is in a downtrend, right? You're consolidating, you're continuing to move down. You get a period of consolidation, you've got a local high, which is actually where we're at right now, and then you close above it. All right, cool. Oh, great. Look what happens there as well. We got time transformation above the 0 line. Wada Atara is bullish, telling us we can take the trade. All right, man, we can go. Hell yeah, we can go. We could have technically gone on this candle right here. We could have, you know, because actually, no, not on this candle. On this candle, could we have? What was that? No. The 8th of February. The 8th of February. 8th of February. Yeah, we could have gone on the 8th of February because we're bullish and we're above the explosion line. So we actually technically could have gone on this candle. Based off the wick, I probably would have been like, I don't know. But yeah, definitely on this candle. And if not, if you're like, oh, we're at resistance, I'm not going to long resistance, which is cool. I respect that, right? That's probably what I would have said in retrospect, honestly. But definitely on this candle, man. You close above resistance very convincingly on good volume, and boop. Or, you know, longer term, like, and boop. Good trade. So we're going to utilize this level right here, and we're going to use the current value of ATR, but you'd have to redo this when you get a little bit closer. So anyways, what is that horizontal? That horizontal is 19,870. So we're just going to make it simpler. 19,000, 198,800. 00198. Yeah, we'll just make it simpler. 00198 plus 210,108. That can't be right. Damn. Yeah. I don't really like that. All right, so let's go down and use a lower time frame. Use the 3 hour. Okay, 2,657 sats. That's a little bit better. Let's use 2,657 sats. So 20,0657. But better than nothing. 20,0657. Okay. And $192,686. And okay. So something like that. So you've got an entry zone about 4% of price, about 4% P&L. You'd be shooting for an average entry of the median of that zone, and you would have about 3% drawdown to your stop loss. Okay. So, and obviously the way to attain that average entry is with limit orders. So you can have one here, one here, one here, one here. I typically like to use 3, so 20, 30, 50, although 4 is acceptable as well, 10, 20, 30, 40. Yeah, so that's 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, or excuse me, yeah, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% of your position, or 20%, 30%, 50% of your position. You know, the lower you go, the heavier the orders get. That's how you achieve an average entry or scale into a position. As opposed to doubling down on a position that you're in drawdown on. That's different because you're strategically planning to get an average entry. So yeah, that would be my first zone of interest right there. And should we bottom off of that, then we could look at bullish potential. The other thing we're looking at is obviously consolidation at any one of these critical horizontal levels where you form a pattern of consolidation, very similar to what we saw here. Very similar to what we saw here, consolidation, and then a clean daily close above resistance leading into a sustained movement to the upside. or for our technical indicators to give us a signal. You know, this is going to give us, as soon as we put in one bullish daily candle, you know, the daily is going to turn. But typically when you're trading so low like this, you can enter a small position based off of that because they do tend to be very powerful. But you can scale further into your position when you get indication that you're going to be trending, which is, we've gone over the trending indications of my strategy here. So oh, I put Waltonchain on the schedule twice. That's funny. All right, we only got 10 minutes left in the show, guys, so I'm not going to be able to fully do analysis on something else. But we can glance briefly at what we got left. Or the RBTC. I don't like it. Don't like it. Volume spike that got immediately sold into and looking to close below support potentially. Did get the nice daily buy right here that would have potentially set you up for that if you had had limit orders above liquidity or somewhere around here. You know, yeah, I mean, just setting a limit order right here at your previous level of liquidity, buying low, setting a limit order for this high right here. But, you know, chances are fairly high that, you know, obviously you could have used a lower time frame to take profit off of this because, you know, you did initially have like 7% profit potential on the next candle, but you know, price returns to your break even. Maybe you get out of the trade, and then on the very next candle, next third candle pumps pretty high. I don't like this, man. I would want to see, you know, I would want to see us closing above this level right here. I mean, you can make the argument that you're at support, but that's a really scary looking candle, dude. Scary looking candle. Holochain pumped. Is it going to be sustained? Again, scary looking candle, man. Now I really like Holochain. So from a non-technical analysis perspective, this doesn't look super bad. You got this. I mean, listen, I'll chart it out, man. Even though I think it's whatever. You know, you do got this falling wedge pattern. This Winkles, thanks so much for the subscription. Dang big, man. Oh, I see why. Okay, there we go. Fixed it. Shouldn't be all wookie like that anymore. Anyways, you got this nice falling wedge, typically a bullish pattern. You do get a nice breakout to the upside. Price continues to be holding it right now. So I do have some upside targets here for Holochain, like in the 33, 34, 36 sat zone. What was the previous setup, right? So we were kind of looking this around here for entry. So okay, now I've just kind of like competed my thing. Okay, we've got let's just stick to the technicals, man. Don't look at the price subjectively, just stick to the technicals is all we got to do. Price closing above the daily looking to close the fissure above the 0 line. And Wadatar telling us we can go. All right, so technically, it's a go. You also have this falling wedge that you're breaking out of. Now, the only thing that you want to make sure that you do properly is adjust your risk appropriately, right? So if you've broken out of a pattern, what you want to see is this pattern hold, right? Now, keep in mind you're dealing with a low sat coin, so 1 sat movements on these are pretty volatile. So adjust your capital investment accordingly. And everybody wants to go really hard hog on these low sat coins, man. And I like Holochain, I really do. I fundamentally like Holochain, but so does everybody else. So that's not a big surprise, right? So trying to look, for investments that I'm interested in making in cryptocurrency, like long-term investments, I'm trying to find things that the rest of the market hasn't gotten in on yet. That's where the opportunity. So what's that killer app? What's that killer program that nobody knows about but is trying to get into? I was watching, so I was actually looking at Holochain earlier, and the thing is, the MDR keeps flipping. The order books on Binance are getting spoofed like all get out. So just be real cautious, man. I don't think there's any problem with setting a bid at 25 sats, maybe even 26 sats, and trying to catch a pullback. But I definitely I'd have if the daily closes below 24 sats, I'd want to be out of the market, man. I think that's some good asymmetric risk to reward. But we'll see what kind of follow through we get on this. I'm not going to trade Holo, even though this might be a good setup. I'm going to see how this develops, see if there's some follow through and push on this. And if there's some follow through on push on this, I might hop in. But again, it got sold into pretty hard, man. Tap this liquidity right here above our recent high. And we're going to see if the market steps in and buys. Because again, you have to realize fundamentally, I'm a little looking at the market, man. I mean, everything kind of depends on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin does reject from this bearish order block, then the market's going to follow it. Bitcoin's not going to drop, and altcoins are not going to and pump. If Bitcoin does this, Bitcoin drops not 8%, most altcoins are going to drop 30 or 40%. Life we've chosen. Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't get the chance to go into ZERP hardcore like I wanted to, so I'll do that tomorrow. But it looks pretty good, man. One thing you want to be, cautious of is the fact that, we're throwing on that daily buy right here, but the daily buys have been kind of spotty on ZERP on the daily for XRP Bitcoin, because XRP, ever since December, the end of December, has had this just been in a super long-term thing. And here's the thing I pointed out on ZERP Bitcoin, man. Let's go back to my chart, dude. I got chided for not being bullish on ZERP when we were up here, when we were close to the market top. And where are we at right now? We fell right into, I pointed this out this morning, man. I had put these levels, I had to go back to videos from a few months ago. I said, man, I got some cheeky, I want to set some cheeky bids on ZERP down here at this low support level. Guess where we're at? Bam, hit it. Why are you not bullish on ZERP, man? When ZERP's at 1200, man, are you going to be bullish? Well, I'd like to buy down here and maybe down here. And I got laughed at. They all laughed at me. Anyways, so yeah, the weekly's putting in some nice behavior right here. Hopefully the weekly closes with this nice bullish hammer candle, and we can get a nice 15-16% out of ZERP at the least, to at least retrace back to this descending triangle, or excuse me, this descending trend line, because that's been what ZERP has done. ZERP goes down. Oh, random pump out of nowhere. Down. Oh, random pump out of nowhere. Down. Oh, random pump out of nowhere. Like to see it then. But this is a little bit different. We've fallen down to a significant level of support. So let's see this level hold, man. Let's see this level hold. But I like the way ZERP looks right now. And then ZERP USD as well. Trading inside this, again, just price is contracting, man. Price is contracting. It's going to break one way or the other. My bet would be that this breaks to the upside because ZERP really hasn't done anything. We can see accumulation right here, especially with this candle. Look at that large amount of weekly volume sold into, but holding a higher level of support, forming a higher low. It looks pretty good, man. It's close to being ZERP's time. The 3-day coiling around the zero line, indicative of consolidation, and the daily finally putting in some bullish activity right now. I like it. Is now a good time to accumulate or wait Bitcoin? I mean, listen, long term, like if you're thinking 5 years in the future, yeah, I mean, you should definitely be establishing a position in Bitcoin. But trade wise, like, you know, are you gonna like 3 months out? I mean, I'm short on the market right now. We'll see if that works out for me or not. It's cool if it doesn't. But I mean, I firmly believe that we reject from 6K. Firmly believe that. But anyways, guys, let's scroll through this chat here for a little bit, man. Neo took the blue pill. We will all use Neo when we prove we are in a simulation. Neo is not the one. Pablo, there's XRP for you, man, hopefully. Would BTT be a good short? The last time I looked at BTT, I thought it actually looked good. I haven't looked at it in a few days. Tony M says, Justin, I just looked in Discord. I see many trades you do. So if I have 5 Bitcoin to invest, how do I share that in trades? Like share your trade ideas? Or are you asking like if you took trades that if you took my setups that I post, how would you spread your capital around? I go over in my webinar series, I talk about money management, portfolios allocation, position sizing, risk management, proper psychology, developing a strategy, how to use BitMEX, all that, man. So I think if you're interested in trading with me, I think those are questions that are going to easily be answered by just having a Discord conversation with me. Yeah, man, just feel free to DM either myself or Scott or Ben in the Discord, man. How do I see volume today on XRP? High enough to reach resistance? No, not yet. I mean, it's still pretty low, dude, especially on USDT pairing. Let's go look at the volume on BTC pair. Depends on how the daily closes. I don't see a whole lot of fresh coming in yet. Yeah, I mean, even on the Bitcoin pairing, it's still, I mean, the volume moving average is still moving down. And look at Wada Atar. It's pretty weak, honestly. But again, I'm a little bit more interested now because we're at a critical level of support. So, but I mean, this was a take profit level for a short right here. But you could make the argument that, okay, well, yeah, bro, Justin, that happened over here and we only got that one random little pump and then blah. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. All right, man. It's 2 minutes after the roll, man. It's time to bounce out, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today for the video. Let's go back over here real quick. Bloop. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today for another breaking Bitcoin market update episode. Hopefully you found this information informative and helpful. Of course, I've been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, please leave them in the comment section down below. I will respond to all comments within 48 hours. If you are interested in working and trading more closely with myself and my team, if you'd like to get access to my indicators, my strategies, if you'd like to get access to my webinar course and our private Discord community, as well as our library, and there's stuff we add every day, so sorry I get backed up sometimes. Anyways, and if you want help developing your own if this then that strategy and fine tuning how you're trading the markets, you can of course check the link at the top of the screen, premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. Looking forward to trading with you guys. Until tomorrow, make sure that you guys trade safely, and I'll see you on the next live stream. Take it easy.